All right, let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to do some chair mobility today. I'm going to show you how to perform your daily mobility routine in a chair. So you can do this at your office. You can do this as a tool as well if you need it for support or for balance. So we're going to go through your controlled articular rotations, which are going to build resilient tissue in the joint. They're also going to improve the health and longevity of the joint, and it's going to increase range of motion in that joint. Or it's going to maintain the range of motion that you already have. Okay, in order to expand space in the joints, you can go through a series of what are called progressive angular isometric loading, regressive angular isometric loading. And what you do in that process is you take the tissue to its end range and you begin to intensify in the angles, so in the progressive and the regressive angles to what you're trying to stretch. So for example, an external rotation here, my PALS or my progressive angular isometric load would be me holding onto a strap and trying to go forward, and then the regressive angle would be going back. Okay, so that's how you would expand space in each joint. But today, we're going to go through your daily mobility program using a chair, because a lot of people have been asking, how can you do this at your office? How can you do this in a chair? So we're going to go through that with you right now. So you can follow along with me. I might stop and kind of elaborate a little bit further on each specific joint. And then we're going to take you through each full range of motion of each joint in a circle. So we're trying to draw circles with your joints here. You want to try to get each major joint daily as a assessment in the morning. So once you perform this in the morning, it'll take you probably about 30 to 40 minutes when you first try this, and you really begin to control neurologically each joint individually. And once you're able to control each joint individually, you're going to have better control of the entire body. For instance, if I'm constantly, if I have a shoulder issue and I'm not able to go into extension, that means my shoulder's going to be off, my elbow might be off, this side of the body might be off, so it's going to affect everything else. So if you can find what specific joint you need attention, you need to give specific attention to, you're going to be able to prevent injury. You're also going to be able to also maintain the health and longevity of your joints. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So if you're in a chair, I'm going to show you option 1, option 2, and option 3. So option 1 is going to be the chair. Option 1, I'm going to perform a circle in each option in each way. And then that way you can have 3 options really to take with you. So the first option is always going to be in the chair. You're going to squeeze your fists. Try to sit a little bit out in front so you're not, crunched up in your chair. So lean forward. Fists are right next to the thighs. Squeeze your fists. Chest is up here, back is straight. We're trying not to lean to either side. The first thing we're going to do is take an inhale and kind of just keep breathing here. Just take an inhale and exhale. But once we do the circle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an inhale, sink the air low, and then I'm going to perform the circle. I can breathe during the circle. A lot of people think, well, you have to hold your breath. No, you don't have to hold your breath. You can breathe through it. But just try to keep your body still and try to keep your body nice and tight. So you're not just doing this with soft shoulders or soft back. So you're trying to keep everything nice and tight. So it's called the law of irradiation. What we're doing is recruiting muscle fibers throughout the entire body to help us control the one joint in a specific circle. We're going to start with the head and neck, okay? So we're going to, what I like to do is I like to put my thumb in between my ring finger and my middle finger, like this squeeze there. Relax the shoulders down, squeeze the fists. I'm squeezing the forearms and the biceps and the triceps, squeezing the chest, squeezing the abs, squeezing the feet into the ground, squeezing the quads here, keep my core tight. And then from here, I'm going to look down, rotate the neck to one side, let the ear fall behind the shoulder as the chin goes up and the forehead goes back. Then we're going to rotate, bend over to the other shoulder, scrape the chin across the collarbone, back to your start. Then you can go back to square one. Then you can kind of relax. So once you're doing the circle, control, it's not a race. You're not trying to fire your neck around a circle. And if there is any pain, so for example, there's a closing angle pinch pain right here, I'm just going to go around that. So I'm just going to go around that pain. I'm not going to go deeper inside that pain and cause more inflammation, which will not help my neck. Okay, so I'm not going to push into that spot either. I'm not going to put a lacrosse ball in the side of my neck thinking that I'm, getting knots out. There's no such thing as muscle knots. Okay, there are no muscles intertangled like we used to think. Okay, that's years ago. So there's a neurological tension because, we're trying to figure that out. Is it the neck? Is it the scapula? Is it the shoulder? Is it a combination? So that's why you have to figure out every joint before determining, oh, it's my neck. It could be your rhomboid. It could be your scapula. Okay, so let's just take it one step at a time. So that was option one in the chair. Okay, we're going to go the other way. Start, I just call this my neutral spot. You're just your home base, squeeze the fists, go back to the irradiation, inhale, chin drops down, rotate, laterally bend, come back, scraping the chin across the collarbone. Just like that, nice and controlled. Option two, standing up, okay? Just like this, feet peel into the ground, squeeze the quads, keep the core tight, squeeze the fists, drop the chin down, rotate, laterally bend, ear goes behind the shoulder, chin goes up, rotate and bend all the way down. Let's go the other way. Notice I'm trying not to bring my shoulders up or down. If you notice anything moving on me, you can just comment and say, hey, it looked like your left shoulder went up. So option three, kneeling. So this is option three because this might not be easy on people's knees. So you could use a pillow, or you could maybe use support if you wanted to be in this position. But option one, chair. Option two, standing. Option three, kneeling, just like this. Or you can go seated kneeling. What we're doing here is we're stretching out our ankles, stretching out our knees, and we're practicing that neck circle. So I'm going to do the same thing. Neck circle, kneeling. I'm also contracting my feet into the ground, keeping the core tight. Go with that neck circle and kneeling. All right, so we just got the neck. Now we're going to go for the spine. So option one, chair. Again, you can do this at your desk, at home, at your office, hands across the chest. So just like the neck, it has the same motions. It rotates, it laterally bends, extends, and it flexes forward. Okay, so this would be flexion, rotation, lateral bend, extension, rotation, lateral bend, all the way to flexion. Okay, your back does the same thing. We're going to cross the hands, across the chest. You can come out a little bit if you want. Keep your core tight. Push the feet into the ground. As we rotate, we're not going to bring our hips and our knees this way with us. We're not going to let the chair swivel. So if you have a chair that's stationary, it's probably better than a rolling chair. Okay, it's also going to challenge me too. So I'm going to rotate, lateral bend. We're going to flex forward, just the upper back. So I'm not going all the way down like this. Notice that. So I'm just doing the upper back here. This is called the thoracic spine. So we're going from cervical to thoracic. Let's try that again. So rotate, lateral bend, flexion, rotation, lateral bend to extension. Let's go the other way. Rotation, lateral bend, flexion, all the way around, lateral bend to extension. Okay, so that's option one in the chair. Option two, standing. Hands across the chest. I'll do it sideways this time. Inhale, irradiate. This time we're spreading the floor apart, just like we were doing with our neck carves. Same premise. Cross the hands across the chest. Rotate. Lateral bend. Flex forward. All the way to the other side. And back. Other way. Rotate. Bend. Flex. Rotate. Bend. Extend. Okay, so option 3. Kneeling. Hands across the chest. Inhale. Rotate. Bend. Flex forward. Rotate, bend. Extend. Other way. Rotate. Shoulder to hip. Flex. Shoulder to hip. And extend. Okay, so that would be a thoracic spine. Okay, now in order to get the segmental spine or the lower spine, we can do that a couple ways. So in your chair, what you can do is try to segment your spine. Maybe come out a little bit, hold onto your knees. We're just going to start in the camel or cow position, head back, just like this. And one vertebrae at a time, we're going to try to segment. We'll start at the neck. Okay, and upper back, go back, mid back, below back. And then you're going to go the other way. So hold cat first, low back, all the way to upper back. Okay, and then you can go back and forth, do that a couple times, try not to skip vertebrae. And then for option 2, you can do that on hands and knees or a tabletop here. Start lower back down, head is up. Pull, push the ground with your hands, so irradiate. Starting with the lower back here, going to the upper back. If you're noticing any of my vertebrae skipping, just let me know. So starting here and then going the other way. Trying to control, and if you can, either video yourself so you can see what vertebrae you're skipping. Really pushing into the ground with the hands and knees. Now, if you're in this position now, I'm going to do a quick pals and rails. This is what we're going to do. We're going to push into the ground with our hands, and then with the knees, we're going to try to pull the ground back this way. We're going to try to push the ground back this way. So we're trying to pull the ground apart. We're trying to pull the ground apart with our back rounded. Hold here. You hold this up to a minute. And just breathe. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. And after about a minute, you're going to start pushing forward and pushing the knees and toes back. Co-contracting the biceps and triceps. Engaging the core, rounding the back, using the back to push forward, using the back to push back. And then from here, we're going to squeeze the ground with our abs, front side. We're going to try to pull the ground from the hands to the knees, knees to the hands in this position. And really use your core here as hard as you can and relax. Now I'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Hold this position. First, we're going to start squeezing the ground in this position, and then we're going to pull out of this position and try to push ourselves out. So we can arch, pinch ourselves in, and then push ourselves out, but stay in the position. Okay, so that's going to work your whole spine there. All right, so now we're to the scapula. So option 1, Just gonna bring the hand out front and then out to the side just slightly, about 10 degrees. Then from here, we're gonna wrap our hand across the waist, and then we're going to protract the scapula, elevate, retract, depression, protract. We're just gonna continue that circle. Now we're gonna go the other way. Just making a circle just with the scapula. Notice that my head wants to jet forward. I'm trying to keep my chin retracted. Just continue those circles. Trying to keep your elbows straight. That's a problem for a lot of people is they go like this. They start bending their elbows. Let's try the other side. Right out in front of the shoulder, about 10 degrees. And same thing, circles with the scapula. Push into the ground with the feet. Really squeeze the stomach, keep the abs tight. Then rotate the other way. Good. Option 2, standing. Okay. Same thing, you can do them at the same time if you want. You can do the same thing in the chair and then the other way. Okay, you can also do these hands next to the sides. Try to keep your middle finger in one spot. Keep your elbows glued to your body. Try not to head protract forward. Another way. Good. Okay, now option 3, kneeling. Okay, sometimes I'll do it with a fist, one arm at a time. Naturally, since you're in this position, you're already kind of contracting muscle tissue. So this is radiated. All we're doing here is squeezing the stomach, keeping your chest up, and then starting those circles. And then try the other side. Then you can try both arms. And you can also do it with your arms out like a T. Yeah, I got some jacked shoulders here. And then try it the other way. Yeah, you can do it in lots of different positions. Protraction, retraction, elevation, and depression. You can do it in lots of different positions. Now we're going to hit the glenohumeral or the shoulder. Option 1. Okay, you're going to have to come out. Maybe you come back like this. Squeeze the fist. Okay, we're going to flex the shoulder forward and up. From here, we're trying not to arch our back. Okay, I'll show you standing. So if I start to go like this, that means I don't have the ability to straighten my shoulder overhead. So if I go up, and as soon as I start going like this, that's your capabilities from here down. So you should only be pushing from here to here. So incline bench, bench, dip would be totally fine. But if you're arching your back at this point, then you shouldn't be pressing heavy amounts of load overhead. So prerequisites before the movement. You start with the shoulder, squeeze fists, push into the ground with the feet, keep the core tight, flexion, hold here. So this is your first, checkpoint. Notice that the biceps is going back, triceps is forward, thumb is going back here, okay? So make sure you're like this. So just if you want, you can just bring the thumb back. From here, Co-contract the bicep and tricep. Now rotate the bicep and tricep toward the ear. Okay, internally rotating the shoulder. From here, this arm is flexed still. I'm still pushing. So from here, internally rotate as I reach back, reach back, reach back, reach back, reach back. Keep internally rotating as you reach back. Keep internally rotating all the way until you get the hand next to the side. Okay, try to straighten out the wrist. And then from here, extend, externally rotate, reach back, forward, and down. Let's try the other side. Flex forward. Squeeze the other fist, push into the ground. Internally rotate as you reach back. Back of the hand next to the side. And then other way, reverse, extend, externally rotate, reach back, up, forward, and down. So that's option 1. Option 2, standing. Okay, same thing. Spread the floor apart with your feet. Squeeze your quads, core tight. Squeeze the other fist. Flexion. Internal rotation. Extension. Reach back. Notice that I'm not opening up my chest or my hips. So this wouldn't be good if I were to go like this. Okay? That would mean that I don't have control over that shoulder. My hip has control over that shoulder. So we're trying to control the shoulder. So flexion, internal rotation, extension, and back. External and forward. Try the other side. Squeeze the fist. So that would be option 2. Option 3, fist squeeze, go kneeling, okay? Or you can do this. This would be totally fine. Just like that. Go kneeling all the way. These are a little bit faster, but I'm just kind of demonstrating. Okay, you can also go level 3, level 4. You can do it kneeling. Okay. And then you can also create a barrier so that this shoulder doesn't even have a chance to open up. It's going to make it a lot harder. So this is my real range. Okay, so noticing that it moves up in levels where you learn about controlling those joints. All right, so we've gotten the neck, the spine, scapula, the shoulder. Now we're going to the elbows and the wrists. So elbows connected to the rib cage here. From here, we're going to supinate the hands. Try to bring those thumbs back. Okay, push the feet into the ground. And from here, squeezing the biceps and the triceps at the same time. Flex the elbows, keep supinating. And from here, pronate. Extend as you push. Really squeeze those elbows, or squeeze those biceps and those triceps. From here, supinate. Flexion. Pronate. Extension. From here, you can tee them out. Supination, external rotation, flexion, pronation, push around. Just like that. So that would be level 1 elbow cars. Level 2, standing. Okay. Elbows connected, flexion, pronation, and then you can go reverse pronation, supination. And then option 3, kneeling. Okay. Probably like this. Squeeze, really squeezing the biceps. So if you do this really loosely, you're like, wow, this is nothing. Okay, so make sure you really squeeze. You're using isometric contraction to control the actual range, as opposed to just passively just moving around, right? You're trying to actively achieve this range. So flex the biceps, triceps, pronate, extend. You can do it this way. You will seat it all the way down, just like that, okay? For your wrists, option 1, seated, okay? You can bring your knees together, give yourself a little bit more room. We don't want the hands to go toward the midline of the body. So hands right in front of the elbows, biceps are squeezed. From here, we go in, and then up and out, all the way around. So we're working our wrists here. Trying to keep your fingers straight, squeezing your biceps and your triceps, squeezing your legs together here. Trying to use as much muscle output from the whole entire body to move these wrists. So that would be option 1. Option 2, standing. Okay. Extend the wrists. Do a wrist extension test, go like this. You can see I have an issue, feels like, no, on this hand right here. Okay. So that should be a flat line. If you don't have a flat line here, you really shouldn't be attempting flat line exercises like handstands and sometimes even push-ups. If you can't extend your wrists, you're not going to be able to absorb the load. So if your wrists aren't able to extend and you're trying handstands, you're doing push-ups, you're trying to walk on your hands, you're going to injure your wrists. So you might be one of those people in a yoga class who's in plank for most of the class, or high intensity interval training where you're doing burpees and you're constantly using your wrists. You might be that person that's just like, what's going on here? Well, you probably, one, don't have good wrist extension, so therefore you shouldn't be lifting with wrist extension. And then 2, you're probably not actually trying to mitigate any injury by doing any wrist exercises. So for your wrists, it's really important if you're standing to, again, squeeze your elbows next to the body. Okay, just like this. Keeping the hands in front of the elbows. So I'm not going in like this, I'm not going out. So keeping those hands super close in line with elbows, keeping those fingers straight, okay? I can do this kneeling with my fist here. Squeeze the fist, you can hold on to a crossball. Same thing, circle. Just the wrist. So sometimes you'll see people go like this. Okay, so this is what? This is an elbow circle, okay? And this is also a wrist circle at the same time. We're trying to just control the wrist. So just control the wrist. If you see yourself going like this, you're not controlling your wrist. So this is going to maintain the space that you already have, and it's going to increase the health and longevity of this joint if you do these daily. Now, if you want to actually expand the space in the wrist, that's when you would want to proceed with stretching it passively, 1 to 2 minutes with diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, not into a position of pain, just nice and easy, passive. And then after that, you're going to activate it by pressing the fingers into the ground from 0 to 100% effort. Then your whole body is going to start using a little bit of power to push into the ground. After that, it takes about 30 seconds. You're going to extend the fingers off the ground immediately after that progressive angle for about 10 seconds. So The progressive angle about 30 seconds. The regressive angle is about 10 seconds with about a minute of the passive stretch. It takes about 2 minutes each hand, okay? Some people can do it at the same time, but I think you probably should focus on one at a time. So if I was doing that on this wrist here, in wrist extension, passive hold, then I actively press the fingers in, and then I regressive angle to go the other way. The reason why we're doing that is we're using the tissues in that progressive angle on this side of the joint, and then we're using the regressive tissues on the opposite side of the joint. So you're able to control both aspects, okay, of that wrist extension. Okay, so you need active control in wrist extension. So you need to actually practice active control in wrist extension to achieve active range and control in wrist extension. So it just makes sense. It's not new stuff. This isn't new science. It's just what we already know. So there's your wrists. Now we're going to get into your hips. So a little bit harder to do hips in a chair, but we can try to make it work. So the first thing you could probably do is push your foot into the ground and then lift one foot up. And then what we're going to do is just going to externally or internally rotate the hip. So you'll notice you can put a block right here with your hand, same sided hand, and then you're just going to bring that heel outward. And you'll feel either a cramp in your hip immediately, or you'll feel a good stretch. Okay, so that's internal rotation. Now external rotation, same thing. Okay, but going the other way. Foot goes in, external, internal. Okay, you do that on the opposite side, internal, external. You go into end range and holding it there for up to 10 seconds. Now, if we're going to get a hip circle in here, you're going to have to turn sideways. Okay. Hopefully this doesn't move too much, but if it does, you can go up against the wall. We're going to bring that knee up, out, foot goes out, knee goes down. Foot tries to go parallel with the knee as the foot and knee go back. We're just going to go around just like this. Now we're going to go the other way. Extension, all the way up and around. Show you on the other side. Trying to keep that knee flexed. Keep that foot flexed if you can. Out, knee goes down, run forward and back. Good. If you're just tuning in, you're probably like, what the heck? All right. So now you can do it standing. So you can use the chair support, which is probably a good idea. You can use a beam just like this. Okay, you can do the same thing. Or you can do it just trying to balance yourself like this. Okay, so start with a chair. Hold it like this. Your knee's going to go up. I'm trying to get the back straight. Knee goes out. Foot goes out. Internally rotate. Extend the glute back. Flex the hip forward. One more time. And then we'll go the other way. So getting the hips here. Let's get the other side. I'll do it this time with the wall. Up. Out. In and back. Back. Out. Up and forward. Okay. Let's go the other way. And then you can do these standing, balanced. Okay. Try not to compensate with your back. And then other way. Achieve my shoulders. So there's your hips, okay? After hips, we get the knees, patella, ankles, toes, and then we're done. All right, so if you're seated, you can hold on to the leg like this, turn the foot out, extend the knee, toe goes in and down. External tibial rotation, knee flexion, internal tibial rotation. Sorry, that was flexion here. So out, knee extension, sorry, internal flexion. Then internal extension, external flexion. Okay? One more time. Out and down. Other side. Out, up, in, down, out, up, in, down, up, out, in, down, up, out, and down. Okay, so make sure that you have the ability to externally and internally rotate that tibia in this position, okay? Your bone should, I'm not sure if it should or shouldn't move, but somebody will have to comment, let me know. There's like a specific wording. It either should move with your foot or it shouldn't, I'm not sure. But you want to have access to internal right here and external tibial rotation, okay? And there's some stretches that you can do in this position with the pals and the rails with a progressive angular isometric loading that you can do to fix any knee issues that you have. So if you have knee issues like I do, I have to really concentrate on bulletproofing these knees. Okay, so this is just like 10% of what I do each day for the health of my knee. Now, option 2, you can do that standing. Okay, so bend the knee. Okay, you hold on to something that helps. This, you can bend the knee, externally rotate, internal, extend. Okay, just like this. And almost scraping the floor across the ground, really bending the knee as much as you can. Okay, try the other side. Okay, and then you can do it seated, which I do it mostly seated. Out, up, in, down. Out, up, in, down. Up, out, in, down. And then switch. Out, up, in, down, out, up, in, down, up, out, down, out, down, and in and up. Okay. Now we'll get our patella. So our patella, or a kneecap, in order to do this one, you actually have to be kind of relaxed. So you can extend that knee out front, just one at a time. And if your quad is nice and relaxed, then you should be able to move your patella, okay, around in a circle. Now, a lot of people are weirded out by that, but we're weirded out by you. So it's okay. So we're gonna go ahead and just circle that patella. Okay, we're gonna go in 360-degree direction. You just know that you have control over it. Know that you can assess if there's pain here. If it locks, then that's an issue. You'll notice that after injuries, after inflammation, you'll want to have control over this 360 degrees. It's going to tell you how much health is actually there. So we're going in a 360-degree rotation of the patella, using our thumbs to kind of maneuver that around. Okay, I'll go ahead and switch side. So this is on the chair, option 1. Now, I feel clicking. I've been told that's pretty normal. What wouldn't be normal is if your patella couldn't shift up and down and left and right. Okay, You notice that some ways might be a little bit harder. That's just good to know because that might change over time. So the healthier your joints get, the more range of motion you're going to have. So the more fluidity you'll have in that patella. So the less it moves, basically that means it's not that healthy. So you want to try to increase the health of that joint by doing this daily. So that would be your patella in the seated position on the chair. Okay, if you're standing, same thing. Extend the knee, just like that. Remember, this is the only car controlled articular rotation that we'll do that we're not intensifying our entire body. Now, a lot of people are asking me if I'm doing the Valsalva maneuver, whatever. I don't even know the definition. Basically, if you're holding air in and you're trying to slow the exhale, not really doing that. I'm just concentrating and controlling each circle. So I'm not really concerned with stuff like that. So for the ankles and feet, we're going to go ahead and do that in the chair first. All right. So if you're in the chair, you can bring that knee up. If you can't flex your hip, you can just hold on to the back of the thigh here. And what you do is just point the toe down. Point the toe down. Toe goes in and then up, all the way up, out and down, all the way down, back to square one. Other way. Now, if you can, to be a progression, just because you have a little bit more control, same thing. Slow it and as controlled as you can. So don't waste movement with insufficient effort. Switch. Again, option one, you could even do that. You don't even have to have your knee bent. Okay, you could do that with your knee straight. Okay, so option one, you can't, do really that much with the knee or the hip. You're just focusing on the foot, just like that. Super slow. The more slow you go, the better. So I'm kind of hyper versioning this up for you a little bit as a demonstration. So make sure that when you practice, if you got a major issue, slower, more controlled, more radiation, more muscle recruitment, the better. So if you got wrist issues, you're doing lots of wrist circles all throughout the day. So for the ankle, option two, okay, you can be standing. Okay, you can hold on to the leg just like this. You can hold on to the wall just like this. Okay, you can go like this. Okay, knee can be straight. Knee can be bent. And then for your option three, which I do a lot of the times, is I'll be on the ground like this, hold on to the shin, point the toe, in and up, out, out and down, and all the way back the other way. Getting our ankle here. On the other side. All right. So we've done everything now but the toes. We can do the toes now. Let me just slide this up. All right. So toes. Here. Toes. You can stop watching now if you don't like toes. Anyways, you gotta do your toes. One, it's the only thing that has contact with the ground. So don't you think it needs a little bit of range of motion and health and joint stability and mobility? So think about your toes a little bit more often than you probably already think. First thing we're gonna do is bring all 10 toes up off the ground. Okay, hold here. Assess yourself. Assess what toes are firing, what toes are not firing. And then from here, what I want you to do is just try to separate your toes or abduct your toes. So your toes and your fingers can abduct. Okay, just like your shoulders and your hips. Okay, so abducting, going away from the midline. Okay, now go in toward the midline, or adduct. So adduct the toes as much as you can. Try to clump them together. Keep them up. And then from here, abduct the toes. Keep them up. Notice that I have more space in between these toes than I do this here. So I have a bad left toe and a bad left pinky toe, you'll notice. So from here, now all I want you to do is just bring all 10 toes down. Just bring the big toes up. Notice the difference in range, okay? Plus this toe going in. Socks and shoes make your toes clump together, which is a really bad thing, okay? This toe has a little bit more space. For some reason, I have better space and range on this foot than this foot. So all toes off the ground except for the big toes. You want to have ample extension in the big toe. You can read lots of research on extension in the big toe and why it's important. Okay, so go ahead and review that literature if you don't believe me. So from here, extension of the big toe. Now, if you can't even bring your toe off the ground, you can manually do it and stretch it, hold it, and then try to lift off, do a passive range lift off. Try to hold it, okay? So you can put a doorstop here. I could actually increase the capacity of that toe by holding here, stretching passively, and then I can push the toe into the hand 0 to 100%, and then try to extend the toe toward my shin, okay? And so that would be a tails and rails for the big toe if that's what you're trying to work on. So I definitely probably need to do it with this toe here. Definitely need some help. So that would be some big toe help. And then from here, let's get all 10 toes up. We're gonna piano them down. So from pinky to big toe. Try it again. One more time. Good. Now all 10 toes up. Just the big toe touches the ground 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Good. There's a lot of other feet exercises. A lot of people I follow, if you need their names, just comment, be like, hey, I need some good feet drills or whatever. There's people that are better than me, but I know you can crunch the feet together. You can kind of hold this position here in different forces to kind of mitigate some of those ankle injuries you might have if you're an athlete, right? So you want to try to mitigate injuries by really focusing on the feet first, and then the knees. You know, obviously the knees get injured a lot in contact sports and from non-contact injuries, and that's usually from external and internal rotation, both the hip and knee. So you need strong feet, knees, basically all of the joints capacity. So if you found that useful, tag somebody, let them know. I got this available. It's also, if you look up YouTube Jordan FRC, you're going to find it there. YouTube Jordan FRC, you'll see this whole entire video. Make sure that you check it out or tell your friends. See you later.